Welcome to the Retirement Evolved podcast with certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno.
And welcome back to the Retirement Evolved podcast. I'm Lauren Trolson and joined, as always, by Adam Bruno, president of Evolution Retirement Services and certified financial fiduciary.
Hey everyone, great to be back. And today's episode, I'm actually really excited about. It's pretty timely. And these are the kinds of discussions that really shape the way people think about their retirement.
Yeah, we're going to dive into two powerful questions we've been hearing from our clients again and again. One, how is our national debt going to affect retirees like you? And two, is it smarter to stay where you are, downsize, or embrace the snowbird lifestyle?
Yeah, and it's interesting, Lauren, because both questions are something that we should be concerned about. And quite frankly, they're questions that we hear a lot, but we don't really concern ourselves with them here at Evolution just because that's the importance of planning, and trying to make sure we're ahead of this. I don't think it's going anywhere, the fears about these two topics, and rightfully so. We talk about them in the workshops all the time, right, Lauren? I mean, it's not going anywhere. So the best thing we can do to make everybody feel better, to make yourselves feel better, is just to plan. Make sure we have the right plan.
Absolutely. Very valuable. So let's talk about something that doesn't always get enough attention in the personal financial planning, which is our national debt. As of today, the U.S. debt is over $34 trillion, and that number obviously keeps climbing.
Right, and really what's shocking is that the interest alone on that debt could become a single largest item on the federal budget by the year 2050. I mean, think about that for a minute. That's more than we spend on national defense, Social Security, Medicare, and that's where we're headed with just the interest on the money that we owe.
Yes, and so what does that mean for you, the listener? It means that sooner or later, the government may not have ways to offset that debt. And we all know, usually it's going to be through higher taxes or reduced benefits. They're not just going to stop spending money, people.
Well, especially on... the number one is Social Security, number two is Medicare, and then number three.
Actually, interest is
now number
one.
three. Interest is now number one. Wow.
Yes.
So it means that there's only two ways to do it. We can cut that spending, or we can raise taxes. So it just comes down to which one you think is going to actually happen. And retirees are always in the crosshairs. You're living on the fixed income, and you're drawing Social Security, and you're relying on your investments. If tax brackets creep up or benefits get trimmed, that changes the whole strategy and a whole lot of money that doesn't go into your pocket, right?
Yeah, and what we always talk about here, inflation, it's often a byproduct of rising debt. And when inflation sticks around, of course, your purchasing power is going to decline, and that nest egg that you thought would last, well, it starts shrinking.
Yeah, it's incredible the way that it shrinks just because of inflation. And it's also incredible the poor job that a lot of financial advisors, air quotes, the poor job they do in actually planning for that inflation, because we know that the 111-year average now for inflation is about 3.26%. That means if we took every year, we added it all up, we averaged it out. And, a lot of planning models, because we've been a little bit spoiled up until 2 years ago with interest rate environment, some of them weren't even tacking on inflation, or they were adding inflation at 1% or 1.5%. So when you're trying to create an income plan, that makes things really difficult, and you end up with less money than you thought. And this is why we emphasize strategies like, Roth conversions, tax diversification, reducing exposure to future RMDs, because taxes may not go up tomorrow, but 5-10 years from now, it's very, very possible. And let's face it, Lauren, we've talked about this before. We really are in a discounted tax environment.
We are, absolutely. And now with OBA, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, we're safe for a short period of time, I guess you could say, with the taxes staying where they are at the moment, because they were supposed to change in
2026.
Yes,
with the sunset law.
So right now, I guess you can say we're safe from them going back to the 2016 tax cuts.
Right now, I mean,
tax rates. I'm sorry.
The fear is that you kick this can down the road long enough. Now we buy ourselves maybe another 4 or 5 years. But do you think they're still going to go back to 2016 at that point? I know everybody thought it was a good thing, but it's also bad because now we don't have any criteria when taxes finally do go up, right? That's the scary part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, is this me? Should I be doing something differently? We'll definitely talk more about that in the final segment. But for now, just know this. Building tax flexibility into your plan today will give you more control for tomorrow.
And there's another C word that you should worry about there, more cash for tomorrow, right? I mean, it's great to be in control, right? Don't get me wrong when I say that, but when we think about, most retirees aren't thinking about control or complacency, they're thinking about their money. So when we talk about this, the fact is that, you have to be concerned more about your future dollars that you can put in your pocket still.
Absolutely. Let's pivot to something a little more closer to home, literally. One of the top lifestyle questions we hear from retirees is this: should I stay in my current home, downsize, or split my time between two places?
It's a big decision, and I don't know how much of it is just financial, right? A lot of it is emotional. So staying in your home is usually the easiest emotionally. You're in a familiar space, your neighbors are your friends, home's paid off, kids come home for the holidays. That's great.
Yeah, but aging in a place also comes with costs. We've seen rising property taxes across Florida, hurricane insurance premiums climbing, and I mean, I hear this from everyone all the time. You buy a house and all of a sudden the AC goes. And now
the roof.
We found out that the whole place is copper plumbing. We have to replace all of our, I have a friend going through that right now. And you find these things out, and they're obviously never going to be at the right time.
Yeah, it's not designed. Houses really aren't designed for aging. Think stairs, narrow doorways, or older HVAC systems. It may becomes more of a burden than a blessing, I guess, is what you're trying to say there, Lauren, because like you said, it's not just, it's everything eventually. It's floors that have to go, kitchens that need to be redone, bathrooms that need to be redesigned.
Yes. Yeah. There's so many things. And, with us having, the natural disaster aspect added to that.
Oh, that's the big one lately,
I mean,
right?
That's huge. How can you prepare for something that you don't know if it's coming or not?
There's a lot more people that are on their way out than I thought. I understand two natural disasters, right? But is a hurricane considered a natural disaster?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah.
But even our conversations with current families that we serve or families that are coming on board with us, that has been a question for most of them. Am I going to stay here? And that's really the appeal of starting over is you free up your equity, right?
Sure.
So you lower your monthly expenses and you get a fresh start. But the reality is the real estate market is tight. Mortgage rates right now are high. Inventory is limited, although we're starting to see it in Southwest Florida turn back more into a buyer's market now.
There's getting some more deals. There's more deals out there.
Yeah, there are, but you might not get the deal you're hoping for because let's face it, we got spoiled around COVID and right before COVID.
Absolutely. But I guess the emotional piece that we're talking about here that you've described was we have worked with couples who have downsized and later regretted it because they missed the community they had, or they had to sacrifice space for like your family coming down.
Yes.
And staying with you or having friends visit, and we talk about this all the time. As you get older, you got to make sure, get some hobbies in there and have things to do. And if you are going to move, make sure that community is the right fit for you.
Well,
there's so many.
The other thing is renting, right? I know that the funny thing is that if you kind of add up what you might be able to rent down here or in another state compared to what you actually owe in your mortgage, depending on when you bought your house, the mortgage is always going to win flat out. But if you're talking about possibly splitting your time and now you're thinking about, well, do I need a second home? It's just incredible to me the amount of time that people can rent and pay a lot less than they would have paid on a mortgage payment that year. So
Absolutely.
that's always,
And that touches on what we were going to talk about next was that
the snowbird lifestyle. And it has become more popular than ever. I mean, especially with retirees, they want the best of both worlds, and who can blame them? Who doesn't want to travel a little bit? Or I say it all the time, like, Kelly, we should get a place in Montana. We should get a place in Canada.
Yeah.
We should get a place. Every time you come to somewhere, you're like, wow, this is great. I bet I could live here. And that's just a normal expansion in our minds as human beings, right?
Mm-hmm. But it does add complexity. If you decide to buy two places, you have two sets of property taxes, two insurance policies, travel costs, and keeping up with Medicare across state lines.
Well, and that's really what it comes down to. If
But-
you're still in good health and your finances allow, it can give you better quality of life because you're a lot more happier with where you are. But you never want to underestimate logistics like that, Lauren. I mean, you're absolutely correct. If you're going to put yourself into a higher Medicare category alone, that's an extra couple $100 a month away from your Social Security payment.
Easily.
So you do want to. The logistics are important.
Every option is going to have trade-offs, and as always, it's not about what your neighbor is doing and keeping up with the Joneses. It's about what works for you.
And if you're in decision mode right now, there's 3 filters we walk clients through when evaluating big housing or lifestyle decisions. The first one is the lifestyle fit. Will this improve your quality of life? Is it going to add stress? And we want to think about accessibility, climate, social circles, proximity to family. Those are all emotional pieces that come into it, and they're part of your lifestyle, of course. And then you have the tax implications. Florida has no state income tax, my friends, but if you sell a highly appreciated home, capital gains can be steep. So you want to know your thresholds, know the exclusions. Right now, it's $500,000 per couple in your primary residence before you start having to worry about capital gains. However, when you go over that $500,000, because there's a lot, let's face it, Lauren, there's a lot of houses that are down here that sell for, a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then your liquidity and your legacy. Are you freeing up cash to invest, or are you just swapping assets out? Does this decision preserve, or are we jeopardizing what we want to leave behind? And that's as simple as maybe a couple $100,000 extra in your bills every month makes a huge difference.
And don't forget that, your your long-term care needs. Will your housing choice support you if mobility becomes an issue? We talked about things like stairs. Are you going to be able to get up those stairs? Are you near a hospital or adult children that can help you?
Right. And we've also seen clients build in rental income, turning one property into a passive income source. And that's a great, really hybrid approach if you can make the math work. We're also seeing a lot of families that because of capital gains purposes, they go ahead and they finance the sale of their home, and then they have balloon payments or payments that come out slowly, so it doesn't affect the tax bill as much and the capital gains as much. So there are strategies you can use in there to really kind of limit yourself. In long-term care, let's face it, Lauren, it's always going to be a top concern. It's definitely in the top 5, I would say, for most families. But I'm going to say what I always say. It's really too late to go look for a long-term care policy and spend thousands and thousands of dollars when you might not even need it. I prefer to see families have enough assets to self-insure for long-term care. And it's not as much when you do it in the home and you do it yourself. You're looking at a difference between, $5,000 to $7,000 or $16,000 to $18,000 if you're in a full skilled nursing care facility. So
Absolutely.
To me, it's always going to...
Home health is huge now. You know, being able to stay in your home and have somebody come to you, I mean, that's enormous. I have a friend, her husband does that. He's a physical therapist, and he goes to people's houses, and he does a lot of home health care. And it seems to really, be beneficial to the people that he's, that are having him there because they don't have to leave. So, Adam, I don't know. If someone's listening right now, maybe they're 63, thinking about Social Security, staring at their home equity, what should they do today?
I think it really comes down to getting a clear, picture of the numbers, the income streams, taxable versus tax-free accounts, value of the home, health insurance costs. There's a lot that goes into that, but primarily to me, when I see something like that and we talk about this, it's always about the income plan. If you have a good team behind you, income plans can change yearly. It's not one set of numbers that you look at for 30 years and you say, okay, I'm going to be fine. Real life actually happens. So for those of you that get those reports from your current advisor or your current firm that you work with, those reports are only right when they hand them to you. And after that, everything changes. And they've really kind of made a living off of telling you, oh, you're fine. You're never going to run out of money. Well, that's great to say in theory, but what does that mean for the year that the air conditioner does go, or for the year that we're finally taking that big vacation? So if you have the ability to plan out and have a correct income plan for each year that you attack in retirement, not only does it make things a lot easier financially, but it also makes people feel a lot better with their lifestyle. There's this whole thought of, I don't want to spend this, or I don't want to do this, right? You've heard it all the time.
Yeah, and that's what, when working with a fiduciary really comes into play, is somebody who has your best needs put first. We don't just look at the dollar amounts and cents. We look at your life, your goals, what matters most to you, how we can help align your money with your values and your legacy, which is so important. And having a legacy for years and years and years about, maybe what you did with that money, how you ended up doing that, whatever it is, something for your family to look back on as well.
And it's a tough thing to say, but we're not in this position anymore where people have kind of the best interests for us. And if they're setting up a regular portfolio, 60-40, or maybe it's still growth in income, the most famous phrase for retirees, it's great. They might be setting that up, but don't you deserve at this point to have a privatized plan, something completely designed from top to bottom for you? I mean, nobody likes picking stuff off the shelf. Everybody wants an experience, right? They don't want something that's just already packaged and here you go, this is what you need. Everybody wants to be treated like they are special, because they are, and they want to have their own custom design plan built. And that's where it comes back to what you said, Lauren, helping align the money with the values. Because sometimes the values go by the wayside because we always have that fear in the back of our head of, is there going to be enough? I just need to keep growing. Or you've had somebody tell you, don't worry, you'll never run out of money. But you've never had a tax plan. You've never had an income plan. And it's great to not run out of money. But what if you could have even more money than you thought because you had the correct plan in place? And that's really what it comes down to. Lauren, what's been really interesting lately that we've seen is that things have slowed down a little bit in the summer, like they normally do. But the concerns haven't changed. Everybody still has the same concerns when they come in, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know if the summer brings out our wanderlust and we're all out of town and we don't want to think about any of this. I know for our families, it's definitely, the summer does bring out a little bit of travel and a little more fun because they've finally gotten comfortable with the fact that they can spend their money.
Yes, and they definitely want to after speaking with you and Kurt and feeling reassured about that.
For sure. Everybody always says Kurt is the man, and he is the man. I mean, let's face it. You guys let me out of the cage to communicate with people because I do that pretty well. But Kurt really, and the team, they really put a lot of time and effort, and I don't think we probably thank them as much as we should because the team has grown significantly. Got everybody running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to figure out exactly how you do this job, what you do this job for. And boy, that team has really stepped up. They've jumped in and said, hey, listen, and they're now starting to add a lot of feedback, the team, which is...
Oh, it's wonderful.
Right. And Kurt, it's a reflection of Kurt and how he does things and how he's trained people. So I just feel like we should send a little bit of love out for the team today because they've been doing some incredible things. And not only that, they've been linking up with the back office, our team of back office professionals as well, and really bringing it home. Our CIO, our Chief Investment Officer, Fawn. I'm using words like chief investment officer, but we never would have thought that was ever going to happen even 3 years ago. A chief investment officer, what do we need one of those for? But as we've grown, I feel like we've grown the right way. I feel like we've got something really special here.
Absolutely. And, I want to touch on that, Adam. Every year, that we do our annual Wine and Wisdom. And this year it's coming up quick. I know we're only in August, but before you know it, it's right around the corner. We always do it in January, sometime around the second week of January. So, be looking out for that invite. I also want to touch on a couple.
Well, let's go back to the Wine and Wisdom party. I know we've had conversations behind the scenes. At this point, with the way that everything has grown, and that evening's supposed to be special and intimate, I feel like we talked about the possibility of having actually two events, right? Because of the fact that
two waves.
Two waves. That's what wave one and wave two.
A lot of the venues here in South Florida, it's really tough. Some of them are outside. A lot of them happen to be outside, and a lot of them don't have the capacity. That as we've grown, I mean, these parties have become bigger and bigger every year.
And you talk about the fact that we don't want it to be at a place that's like a hotel.
Yeah, I want this to be, it's supposed to be interactive, right?
Right.
And it's supposed to be a good time.
We're supposed to get time together because we don't always see everyone throughout. And I'm the worst with that, right? I don't always see everyone. So
it's a time for all of us to get together. So yeah, we've been thinking about doing two waves this year. And I'll know more about that probably in the next couple weeks, but look out, make sure that, you're looking at your email. I do send emails through our constant contact company now. So look out for those as well, because I know that I've had a couple people tell me that they thought it was spam.
Yeah, it goes right to the spam.
It's me.
Yeah.
It's the info at evoretire.com.
It's not you, it's us.
Well, it's us.
It's not you, it's us.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's me.
So just look out for those. We do have a couple events coming up. We have a lunch and learn coming up September 10th. We have Brian Barrett speaking at that. He is a Medicare specialist. He's a broker. He'll be there 11 a.m. September 10th at the Hilton Garden Inn across the street from us.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Even those events we've had to cap now, right?
Yeah, we've had to cut back. It's tough to find a place to do these events, and we are so lucky that we have so many families that want to come to our events. It really is such a blessing, and it makes us feel so good, that you guys want to spend more time with us.
Right. They've gotten pretty popular, so I think we're talking about what we can do for those events now.
Yeah,
too,
I might have to do 2 a quarter, instead of just the one. It's crazy, when we started doing these, it was tough to get enough people to show up for some of these things, and they realized how valuable they are and how it's so nice to have people and experts
now
coming
it's like
in.
a wave.
Yeah.
Like the wave that hits.
You get all this expert advice from attorneys, Medicare specialists, chief financial officers,
CFOs,
it's incredible. And so it really is such a valuable event.
Well, the goal is, like every year that we have them, the goal is to get somebody in there to talk about Medicare, because that's a constant thing that happens, and I'm really excited because he knows his stuff, right? The other goal is to have one just on the economy, then one maybe on investments, and one just in general for retirees, in that age range, just things
or
to look out for.
Estate planning.
Estate planning is a good one that we like to do.
We just started that this year.
Was that this year? Yeah.
Kevin did that one.
That was popular.
There's all kinds of professionals out there that we vet that. If you guys ever have a question about something or someone that you would like to know that was vetted by a great company, we have a list of those people. So.
Right. And I always tell everybody that when they become a family member of ours, it's not just the investments, right? But we do have that team. And then just between you and Amber and everybody here, we have all these connections as well for any types of services that you might really need.
Oh, yeah.
That's that people always tell us, well, we didn't want to bother you. That's why we're here. That's why you pay a fee, right?
Amber was born and raised here. Kurt and I have lived here over 30 years. We've made a lot of wonderful connections in that time. So anything we can do, not only to help you, but help somebody we know. It's all,
right.
It stays in the family, which is really important to us.
Right, and it's been incredible, especially this year. I think my eyes have been opened a little bit more to what firms don't do compared to what we do. And I'm not saying that's only us that ever does that, but in this area, it's really tough to find somebody who, I don't know, I feel like it'd be that way on the other coast too. I feel like it's just this kind of laziness that overcomes firms, that we've got this many clients, we know this much money's coming in every year, we're happy. It just feels like we're never happy, right? We always want to create that experience.
We all wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and, say, did we do our best?
You guys say, did we do our best? I say it just wasn't good enough. That's a me problem. I'm talking to my therapist about it, but but you're right. And I think what we need to do, even the other day, right, Lauren, we talk about this for us and for our company. We had a meeting the other day where we discussed this whole idea of, let's just once or twice a month, let's just take a look back and see where we were and where we are now. And I feel like that message really resonates with the retirees as well. We get so much into this growth mode, accumulation mode. Look at that. Look at my account. I've got this much. I should be fine. Why don't you just stop for a minute, close your eyes, and think back to 25 years ago? I bet that you would have never thought that you're in this position that you're in now. And maybe you're one of those wise guys who says, oh, I knew I'd be sitting. No, you didn't know. You hoped. But, in the back of your mind, you never really know for sure. You hope, you have the right attitude. But seeing where you were versus where you are, it's a huge difference. Now, you also have a decision to make that could make a huge difference. Now you're here. Where am I going next? Right? And next, I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry, but next is you're not going to have as much time for next as you did to get to this point, right? So just things that you need to keep in mind. I know that I'm an advocate for the personalized planning, the 1 year at a time, and everybody else is kind of like, oh, don't worry, you've got 30 years before you run out of money. We show families that same look at how much money they could potentially have. But the reality is they're already not doing things that they want to do. No matter what they say, a lot of people say, I'm comfortable. I do what I need to do. There's still things that everybody wants to do, right? And we can't be afraid to do that because we keep putting it off, and we don't have that long to put it off anymore. It's not like when you're, putting off cleaning out your shoe closet, Lauren. That's, you could do that whenever you want. Whenever you want it. Not that you don't have fabulous shoes. I'm just saying, it's you can put that off for another 10 or 15 years if you want. But if you were much older, I don't know how much time left I have to clean out the shoe closet, right?
I hear you.
And when you clean out that shoe closet, the reason you're not doing it is because you clean it out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, now that I threw those out, I can get new ones.
A couple new pairs. That's what I do every time. I'm like, well, I toss those, so I owe myself a new pair.
I deserve it, right? That's what we always. I deserve it.
I deserve a little treat for today. I woke up, But So to wrap it up, we are Evolution Retirement Services
and Evolution Wealth Management.
Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
We're here for you. Give us a call, 239-771-8696. Shoot us an email, info@evoretire.com. Lauren, Adam, Kurt, Amber, Brett, Melissa at evoretire.com.
And more importantly, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you are electronically challenged like me, up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a like button or a subscribe button. Make sure you hit that because it allows us to keep spreading the word, spreading the message, and it allows you to get an update anytime that there's a new episode like there is now. So the episodes have been a little few and far between, right, Lauren? Yeah. So we need to start in our podcast.
We're doing
game.
Our best.
I know. It's like we focus on another area, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, what about the podcast, right? So I get it. We're going to do our best to continue to provide you content that actually matters. Today's content, once again, just to recap, if you're thinking about moving, if you're thinking about doing a different residence, all of these things need to line up. You need to speak to somebody about that, plan it out, know what the numbers look like. That's important. All of our families know their numbers. I don't know how many times I say that in a week, but knowing is really what makes you decide how to move forward. And then we talked a little bit about what else did we talk about, Lauren? What am I missing here?
Oh, we talked about whether to, snowbird, rent.
Yeah, my favorite one. Yeah, the snowbirding. Yeah, so again, just know how long you can be in another state if you're a resident of Florida. If you come from like New York, they have pretty much a GPS tracker on you, right, Lauren? They really hammer down on that. Anyway, so we are Evolution, and we will be back with you soon. So Lauren and I just want to say be safe out there, and God bless.
God bless America.
God bless America.
Bye.
Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to affect or attempt to affect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities. Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities.